Cause to the member for Chifley.
Thanks, Acting Deputy Chair. And I also wanted to echo the remarks of the Chair, who extended thanks to colleagues and to the Secretariat as per usual. Now, I've sometimes remarked that questioning the RBA Governor at these hearings is like quizzing the Sphinx. You don't really get much out of them and you're left to sustain yourself on a few grains of sand. But there were a few things that emerged out of that last hearing, and also a pattern that's emerging across hearings. And let me go to what's been observed over these hearings. Back in March, the RBA noted two things. One, growth in wages at its lowest level since records began within the RBA since 1997. And secondly, the governors observed at our March hearing that the gap between costs and prices widening because profit margins have gone up. Now, some other observations have been made along the way about the weakness of consumption and high level of savings. Fast forward to this hearing, and we've had the Governor provide a long list of reasons as to why now is the time for business to invest and to not be so narrowly intent on sustaining dividend flows and returning capital to shareholders. And this call to invest was done because the RBA, through bank liaisons, observed an unwillingness of business to dedicate itself to investment until business detects sustained demand. Now, this has prompted the RBA to observe an absence of what it called animal spirit, or confidence to add to the stock of physical assets. And it's clear the RBA is concerned because, as they noted, the level of gross investment within some sectors right now is barely above depreciation rates for capital. So let's draw those threads together. Lowest level of wage growth, consumption barely growing, savings levels at solid highs, and then on the other hand, profit margins lifting, investment hardly growing, but dividends and returns to shareholders picking up pace. Now, some of this isn't new. We can dig up stats comparing wages versus profit share of GDP and see that wages really haven't been the winner in that contest for some time. But it's clear there are concerns that people's costs of living aren't really being matched by growth in wages, and that's causing considerable discomfort in the broader community, which makes it the worst time to slice support for families or other groups through what we've seen in the budget. Now, it's hardly any wonder that consumer and business confidence is taking a hit, and it's hardly surprising that business won't invest due to lack of sustained demand. Those linkages aren't hard to draw. The test is, for government is to engender confidence in the broader community to ensure business can start to detect the type of demand it believes that the RBA has detected will trigger investment decisions. Another comment made by the RBA at its hearing, principally through Deputy Governor of the RBA, Dr Philip Lowe, attracted quite a bit of interest, specifically where he said, if we're going to sustain ourselves, there need to be people able to take risk, and we need to be able to innovate to find new ways of doing things better. I think it's somehow enlivening the entrepreneurial, risk-taking and innovation culture so that we can be the type of country that has high value-added, high wages, high productivity. And this isn't a new message from the RBA. It's been nudging business for some time on this front. In fact, earlier in the year, its CIO, Sav Gurn, was highlighting the need for business to be prepared for and accommodate disruptive technology. Now, both the Leader of the Opposition and the Shadow Treasurer have highlighted that a challenge for our economy is to harness innovation to drive future growth, and we've been particularly mindful of finding ways to, paraphrasing Dr Lowe, enlivening entrepreneurialism. And tech startups within our nation best embody that attribute of enlivened entrepreneurialism, and we do need to promote a stronger, more conducive investment environment. While the government's recent innovation statement finally addressed reform of the employee share ownership program, a process commenced under the former government, it's walked with leaden feet on other areas that can help these startups. Notably, it's failed to meaningfully respond to calls for the reform of the regulatory environment around crowdsourced equity funding, which will provide access to valuable, much-needed capital for startups. Now, while numerous ministers have suggested they're big fans of this platform, we've hardly seen a response to the Corporations and Markets Advisory Committee report proposing a new way ahead for this funding platform. It's a comprehensive report, well-researched, probably taking a conservative approach to future regulation for CSEF. I also wonder whether having Treasury manage that response will slap a further layer of conservatism to the CSEF regulatory framework, but in due course you'd hope to see a formal response from the government, and for now I'm very mindful that the sector is demanding of the government a formal statement on where it is at in developing the framework, because they're seeing colleagues leave Australia heading to New Zealand because there's a more accommodating regulatory environment there. And again, if we want that enlivened entrepreneurialism that the RBA has called for, we need to put a framework in place to encourage that and it's now up to the government to get its act together to deliver that for them. I commend the report to the House.